So usually my tutorials come with my experience, and I usually notice something when I'm working and I will think somebody might be having that sort of problem. So I would like to create a video and put it out there, and I hope it's really helpful to you. If it's always helpful to you, do make sure you give a like, subscribe, and also share the video to someone who you think this might be helpful to. And yeah, watch the video through to the end. Let's get started. So I'll be using this planter example to explain something to you guys, because there's something that I noticed whenever you have created your animation. How do you go about editing the animation and making it work, or how do you know what is worth in the animation? So if you have, let's say this was a rigged character and there is something you need to edit, and instead of going in and deleting the whole animation, and because you don't really know where to start from, there's one thing you will notice. If you come to frame 1, this is how you do it. You pick your manipulate bone tool, and whenever you click on a bone, you will see the animation that is available within that bone, like this. When I click on this mouth bone, you will see nothing. But when I pick my manipulate bone tool and I click on the bone, if you notice, you see some animation appear here, because these are the animation that are connected to this bone. If I click on the tongue, you would see a specific animation here also down here, which is to the tongue. And if you notice the way the animator animated this animation, he did a lot of cycling, because there's a lot of repeats to the actions that is happening with the character. And when you go ahead and click on all other bones, you'll see the animations that are involved with it. So with this, you can actually go in and play around with the animation. With, take for example this bone right here, you can come to this point, because if you notice from this point here, this is when the mouth closed to this point and opens again and goes back, and whatever. Then you find out what this bone is for. So let's just manipulate the bone real quickly and see what it is for. So it's for the stretch. So it's for stretching the character, as you can see here. Let me undo that, Ctrl Z. So what it's happening here is that the character bends down, comes up a bit, bends down, comes up a bit, and it keeps repeating that same flow until the fly is eaten. So if you want, for example, to change that, at this point, let's say it bends, you want it to stretch a bit, you come to this point, you stretch it a bit, so it comes down. So maybe you want it to come down so much like it's about to attack, and it comes up before it at this point stretches again. So it keeps, because it has a circle, it keeps repeating that same action. So if it's what you want, you can easily now, from this point, you see how it's making that action. Also, you can do the same thing for the mouth. When you tap on, make sure you're on frame 1 when you're making this tap, so that you don't just add an unwanted keyframe to the timeline, which may confuse you later, something like this. So you go back to frame 1, you hit on the mouth button, you would see new animation keyframes appear here. So you can go to the mouth and find out which is open and closed. Say at this point it's closed, at this point is open, at this point is closed. Mind you, both animations, both keyframes here are working hand in hand together. Okay, so at this point here now, we may want the mouth to be wide open and we want it to be closed. So in case you make a mistake, that is the whole point of this. So you could see it now, we have a different animation at that point, right? So if you want to edit your keyframes, this is one of the simplest way I think you can easily edit your keyframes and make your animation edits and make your life really simple, instead of going through and totally repeating the whole animation. Because of the circle interpolation we have on this animation, so whatever correction you make, you have to keep in mind that it will keep repeating itself until maybe you remove the circle interpolation by clicking on that keyframe and go to smooth to remove that interpolation. So you see that thing will not repeat itself anymore. Okay, so but if you want it to repeat, you can continue to put the circle interpolation. Another thing I want you to keep in mind also when animating in moho-studio is you can also animate the layers itself, right? So let's say, because if you look at the top layer here, the bone layer rather. If you look at the bone layer here, everything is just, like static. And what about if you want the mouth to, be moving and saliva dripping out of it, for example? So you could actually come to that specific layer and look for the mouth layer, right? We could now start add keyframe by hitting Ctrl F at that point. Then, shift Ctrl Z to undo that. We want to shift just the point. So shift the point at the back of the mouth. Maybe it's something like this you want. Maybe you just want some certain movement over there, right? So it just doesn't feel too static. So you could do something like this. So from here, it may not be too visible, but you actually have it, moving. So you can also interpolate this, put a circle interpolation, so it keeps repeating itself as the character keeps jumping around. Okay, so you have this, wobbling stuff going on. If it's what you want, I'm just letting you know. So we're smoothing that out and probably delete it. So that is just what I want you to know in this video. When you want to edit your animation, when you click on the bones, you have your keyframes appear for that specific bone. Then you edit that bone and you make your corrections instead of going all through and deleting all and repeating the whole animation. Not except the whole thing is so jam-packed and complex and you really don't know what to do, then you may have to repeat the whole animation. I hope this is helpful. Check out the next video and learn something new, and I will see you inside. Peace.